Okay.
I just don't like to throw them away until I know that no one wants them.
Wait. There was one more thing we needed to do to make it. Virginia, what was that we needed to do to make it that is only focused on me? Oh,
If you're live streaming it, yeah, you need to
spotlight
make
for
it-
everyone. That's me. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how good this is working. Okay, I think we are good to go.
I don't know. All I'm doing is turning it on, turning it off. There's something wrong with the connection or something. I don't know what's going on.
Let's go without that.
Okay, you can still hear it.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
okay, good. Anyway, we're still
Testing.
always the excitement and the mystery. So, Shabbat Shalom, good to see you all online here. And we are ready to rumble here. Before we start our service, I'd like to know if anybody has anything good that happened to them, anything good that's gonna happen to them, any news to share.
I would like to share.
Share away, man.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Joyce.
What?
The microphone. Move the microphone. Man.
Oh, are we on now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right here?
You're
Okay.
gonna get it right in your face.
Well, the speaker is off. I turned it off because it was blasting. So,
Oh. Hope the people want.
I'm just wondering if there's something to do with this soundboard.
Are you ready for good news from
Yes.
Israel?
Yes.
Okay. Tel Aviv University is developing a nasal vaccine that will protect people from Alzheimer's and stroke. The Technikon Institute of Technology in Haifa has developed a simple blood test capable of detecting different types of cancer. The Ike Law Center in Tel Aviv isolated a protein that makes colonoscopy unnecessary to detect colon cancer with a simple blood test. Colon cancer kills about 500,000 people annually. Acne doesn't kill anyone, but it does cause anxiety and dissatisfaction in teens. The Perlite Laboratory has created a cure by emitting UV rays, high intensity, which kills the bacteria that causes acne without generating additional complications. The Given Imaging Laboratory has developed a small camera in the form of swallow pills and transmits thousands of photos of the digestive tract. These high quality photos, 2 per second for 8 hours, can detect polyps, cancer, and sources of bleeding. The photos are sent to a chip that stores them and sends them to a computer. At the end of the process, the chamber is eliminated via the rectum. Hebrew University in Jerusalem developed an electrical neurostimulator with batteries that is implanted in the chest of Parkinson patients, similar to a pacemaker. The emissions from this device block the nerve signals that cause tremors. The simple smell of a patient's breath can detect if a patient has lung cancer. The Russell Berry Institute of Nanotechnology has created sensors capable of sensing and registering 42 biological markers that indicate the presence of lung cancer without the need for a biopsy. Catheterization can be dispensed with in many cases. EndoPad is a device placed between the indicator's fingers, which can measure the state of the arteries and predict the possibility of a heart attack in the next 7 years. University of Bar-Ilan studies a new drug that fights viruses through the bloodstream. It is called the Koi trap, as it trickles a virus it tricks a virus into self-destruction. Very useful to combat hepatitis and in the future AIDS and Ebola. Israeli scientists at the Dasa Medical Center, Jerusalem, may have discovered the first cure for ALS, known as Lou Gehrig's disease, in an Orthodox rabbi. Stephen Hawking, a famous British scientist, suffered from this disease and used methods invented by the Israeli scientists to communicate. The world needs not to live on bad news alone. Information like this is what is missing and must be shared.
Good. Anything personal that's good? How are the animals, Joyce and Lou?
What?
Any personal news that are good?
Oh, no,
No.
we're fine.
Well, I am glad to be back, and you should be glad I'm back, because I really had so much fun that, you know, life was so wonderful that. Anyway, show up for dinner, I'll tell you all about it. Tonight, let's see, what are we opening with, Theo? On page 3, Hinei. Now to page 7, the kindling of Sabbath light. I'd like to see if I have any volunteers, or will I have to volunteer someone? Anybody wishes to be volunteer? Nancy does, yes, that's what I thought, no? Then, Roseanne?
I can, but I did it last time I was here.
Oh, it's okay. It's not like you ate Chinese food yesterday, you can't eat today. Page 7.
Come, let us welcome Shabbat. May its radiance warm our hearts as we kindle these tapers.
Light is the symbol of God's presence in our lives. The eternal one is our life and our salvation.
Light is the symbol of the holiness within each of us. The human spirit is the light of God.
Light is the symbol of the Torah's teachings, for the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light.
Light is the symbol of Israel's mission. As it is written, I have made you a covenant people to serve as a light to the nations.
Therefore,
In the spirit of our ancient tradition, that hallows and unites Israel in all lands and all ages, we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzavonim l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat. We praise our eternal God, creator of the universe, who hallows our lives through laws and ethical teachings. We're mindful of these timeless values as we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen.
It's hard to believe, but this being the 4th Sabbath of the month, We'll turn to the fourth service, to be found on page 76. Gather together now that the shadows of evening fall, we open our hearts to the sweet and comforting influences of our worship. We're thankful for countless blessings, for the ceaseless flow of God's goodness to us. Every day we receive the fullness of this bounty. When we are tried by sorrow or times of anguish, it is not that we have been forsaken. The Eternal One is always with us, guiding us along the path of life. May we be grateful for having been granted the strength to endure our trials, and when our ordeal has passed, we draw comfort from the hope and faith that better days may lie ahead.
We pray for all people who has our sisters in want or distress of body or spirit. We make in our hearts those that are near to us in this pain. Let them know your help and feel your presence, realizing that they are not alone.
Now we turn on page 78, the Baruch, the call to worship, on page 78. You rise, please. Baruch et Adonai Amorah, praise eternal God, whom all praise is due. Baruch Adonai Amorah.
Let us praise eternal God, to whom all praise is due.
Page 79. You are our God, the source from which life and all its blessings flow. Wherever we turn our eyes, we behold signs of your goodness and grace. The fullness of your power is disclosed to us in your guidance of our people, in the constant shaping of human destiny, and in the wondrous works of creation. Your guiding spirit is present in all your works. The harmony and grandeur of nature speaks to us of you, of your infinite might and majesty. Next page.
Laws and ethical precepts, through statutes and ordinances, you have led us in the ways of righteousness and brought us to the light of truth. Therefore, our lying down and our rising up, we meditate on the Lord's teachings, finding within it His inspiration for guidance our daily lives. May your love never depart from our hearts. We praise you, God. You have revealed your love for our people Israel.
Together we affirm on top of page 81, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal is our God, the Eternal God is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Let us praise God, who rules in glory forever and ever. continue in the page 82, the Ve'ahavta in people. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Responsibly on page 84. Trust in the eternal word with all your heart and do not rely on your own limited understanding.
Remember not to stand to him, and you shall not follow only your heart and your minds.
Time and again, God has redeemed us from the hand of oppressors and revive our spirits when our own strength fails.
God's works and wonders surpass our understanding. God's gifts and blessings are without number.
We rejoice in God's guiding power. We praise and give thanks to the Lord. top of page 85. The people of Israel shall preserve the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath in every generation as a perpetual covenant. It is the sign between God and the people of Israel forever. Those who preserve Shabbat and call it a delight will rejoice. The people of Hello Shabbat delight in your goodness, for being pleased with the Sabbath day, you made it the most precious of days, a day of gratitude for the work of creation.
Grant, O God, that we may live in peace and rise up again to life. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with wise counsel. Yes, be the shield about us. Fortify us against evil, against the pestilence sorrow. Ever the voices of inclination to do evil, and comfort us with the Christ our God. Guide our path coming into life, and peace from this time forth and forever. We praise you, God, and you shelter us in all our life.
Only rise for the Amida on page 27. We praise you, God of our mothers and fathers, God of Abraham, God of Sarah, God of all generations. You bestow loving kindness on all your people. Remember the devotion of those who came before us. As you guided our ancestors with love, you offer hope to us, the descendants, our creator and helper, our guide and protector. We praise you, eternal God, shield of Abraham and help of Sarah.
Infinite is your power, God. Great is your gift of life. In loving kindness, you sustain the world. Through the endless flow of your blessings, you preserve all of creation. You uphold the fallen and heal the sick. Free the captive and keep back with your people, their death is life. Who is like you, both for life and death. We praise you, God, the source of eternal life.
Bottom of page 89. As we become more fully aware of God's presence, we discover our life's truth in the knowledge that we can worship God in holiness only as we serve each other in love. How much we owe to the labors of others. Day by day, they endure pain and peril for our sake. Numberless gifts and blessings have been laid in our cradles as our birthright. May we then be just and great-hearted in our dealings with one another, sharing the fruits of our common labor, acknowledging that we are but stewards of whatever we possess. Help us be among those who give generously of themselves, so that others may not hunger, who dare to be bearers of light in the dark loneliness of stricken lives, struggle and even bleed for the triumph of justice for all people. So shall we be partners in the repair of our world, for that has been our vision and goal throughout the ages.
Our God, of all ages, grant that our worship on Shabbat may be acceptable to you. Sanctify us to your commandments, that the serenity of Shabbat may enter our lives. Teach us to be satisfied with the gifts of goodness, and great to rejoice in all that you bestow. Purify our hearts that we may serve you in truth. Inspire us to preserve Shabbat as Israel's heritage, generation to generation. May it rest in joy, peace, and comfort to the dwellings of our people, that we may be out of the world. We praise our God who sanctifies Shabbat.
You may be seated, please. Continue on page 92. Continue. We gratefully.
We thank God in His graces for the gift of life itself, for our souls never ever regrets. For the sign of our prayers that we encounter every day, and for God's wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. Truly our blessings are without end, and God's loving kindness never ceases. Therefore, to be forever for us in eternal life.
Page 93. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and enable our people Israel to be its messenger to all the world. Bless our country, they may ever be a pursuer of peace, its advocate in the Council of Nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and harmony among the inhabitants of all lands. Plant virtue in every soul, and may our love for you hallow every home and every heart. We praise you, O God, giver of peace. Amen. So, as it's our common practice, we turn back my prayer books to page 10 for prayer of those who are healing. Page 10. Prayer invites God's presence to lift our spirits. It allows the blessing and gift of hope to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. This Shabbat, we pray for the fallen members of our congregation, for sick and friends and relatives who share the anxiety of their illness. Gary Keshner, Marvin Aaron, Art Waltz, Mike Thurman, Pam Owen and Wayne Owen, Martha Katz, Len Horowitz, Louise Diane Bergson, mother of Dr. Andrew Bergson. Then, let's see, Joyce asked us always to pray for Stephen Lloyd White, Jennifer Bolden.
Connie Thomas. Lou.
And we always will. Also pray for my friend Robert Blau. And I know Caleb wants us to pray for Michael Damaris, Brian Russell was his mom, and Richard Knobloch, his uncle, right, Caleb? Am I missing anybody? No. Then, let's see what else I have here. I have Pat asked us to pray for Andy Becker, Bruce Becker, Roseanne Dole, Anna Jackson, Barry Clark, Jesse Puckett Jr., and Colin Sharps. Anybody else?
Lewis and Martin, Howard Dukes, Roy Wenzel, and Donna Vestal.
Philip Sparrow.
Oh, and Glenn Christek. Richard Steve.
Then I know one of my classmates, maybe I'll mention Jacques. Anybody else? No. We pray
for
all people who have discovered
our
our existence and want to search by the Spirit. May our hearts in whose pain we feel pain. Let them know your help and feel your presence, realizing they are not alone.
of silent prayer, using prayer our hearts and prompters of those that to be followed page 94, our prayer books. This week's Torah portion is Hanan, the second one, the book of Deuteronomy. And we have, in the book of Deuteronomy, it's like a repetition of everything that happened before, done by Moses right before, before the people enter the land. And in it, you have the 10 Commandments. They appear for the second time. First time they appear where? Anybody remember where they appeared first time? Book of Exodus, when they are first given. And then Moses recounts the 10 Commandments, but there's a difference. They're all the same, but what connects with the Sabbath, it's told a little different in one versus the other. In one it says, Shamor, keep the Sabbath day to make it holy, and that's in Exodus. And in Deuteronomy, it says, Zachor, Yom HaShabbat LeKodsho. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And from that comes the lyrics for one of our top hits at Temple Israel of all time, Telechadodi, right? We've seen Shamor veZachor veDibur Shamor, keep, Zachor, remember, Shamor veZachor veDibur Echad in one word. Because it's both Shamor and Zachor were said at the same time. That's why I have the two versions. That's it. And then, however, and as I said, in Jewish tradition says that God said both things, Shamor and Zachor, at the same time. And that's why it made it into the lyrics of the Lechadodi. However, there's one more big difference in this commandment related to the Sabbath that between Exodus and Deuteronomy. In Exodus, the reason for keeping the Sabbath is to remember that in 6 days God created the heaven and the earth, and the sea and all that in them, and then he rested on the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. And those words may be, a version of it may be familiar to you from the Kiddush, but then there's something else in the Kiddush. Because the second verse, what appears in this version, Deuteronomy, the reason for the 10 Shabbat is the fact that we're slaves in Egypt, and now God freed us. So slaves work 7 days, free people can take a day of rest. So the Sabbath has these two themes, creation and freedom. And as I said, if you ever pay attention to the Kiddush, it mentions both of them. We say the Kiddush is Zecher L'Maaseh Bereshit, a memorial for the act of creation, and then Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim, a memorial for the Exodus from Egypt. So both themes are important, but there is an insight from the fact that remember the Exodus came a generation after remembering creation. The book of Deuteronomy, spoken before the Israelites entered the land, so what happened in this portion, is deeply concerned with the social burden, the social scratch. It speaks of economic welfare for all the citizens of Israel. Portions of it speaking about helping the poor and trying to eradicate poverty in the land. The book of Exodus does require the freeing of a Hebrew servant in the 7th year. But the book of Deuteronomy adds to this law the fact that the master must give the servant enough to establish himself financially to not burden the community. There's no point in freeing up the slave and then, because in Brazil used to say, what's the difference between a slave and a laborer? A slave, you pay all at once, whereas a servant, you pay them in easy monthly installments. So, so it was important not only to free the slave. I knew you'd like that, John. I know the socialist jokes work with you. So, later, the great prophets of our Bible, great prophet, will speak of helping the poor and the needy. In the Haftarah that we traditionally chant in Yom Kippur, Isaiah speaks in the morning. It says, what's our duty? To share your bread with the hungry and to take the poor into your home. When you see the naked, to clothe him and not to ignore your kin. I just returned from my native city, São Paulo, and it was wonderful to be there and to see my friends, to see the family members I happen to like, because I was with my mom, so I didn't have obligation to see anybody I didn't like. She was see. But also, you see tremendous poverty. It was really hard for me to be staying at a really nice hotel, and then you go down on the street, and literally under the awning. Well, actually, one of the greatest steakhouses in São Paulo closed. Under the awning, people sleeping there on the floor. And under the overpasses, there are people living there, homeless people. Homelessness is indeed a problem. Even here in Kansas City, that near downtown, there's a homeless camp that has like 2,000 people living there. Anywhere, California, for instance, has some of the highest taxes in the nation, but has one of the highest problems of homelessness. And they cannot find a way to use that tax to help the poor people. Perhaps some homeless do not want to be helped. I understand that as well. But brighter policy makers, that people are smarter than me, certainly will have to find ways to figure out how to solve this kind of problem. I simply know that the Torah teaches that we should fight poverty. And obviously, fighting poverty should not be the Brazilian solution, which is to fight the poor. Because that is, in fact, effective, but you shouldn't do it. I have many times told you about Harvard philosopher called John Rawls. He wrote a book called Theory of Justice. And, and Rawls speaks of justice as fairness. He does not necessarily oppose wealth, as long as the road to wealth is open to everybody has equal access. But he teaches that everybody has the right to certain social goods, minimum living. Nobody should lack the basic necessities of life as food and shelter and health and clothing. So, and interestingly enough, 3,000 years before Rawls, there was the message of this week's Torah portion of the book of Deuteronomy. That's it. Shabbat Shalom. Anybody has any complaints, remarks, or
Thank you. It sounds like you're becoming a convert.
Become a convert? Yes, isn't it's easier to become a convert because
could
there's
become
lots
Jewish.
of poor people. No. Anyway, we will continue thusly on page 368 and evaluation. Rise to rise. Just rise. We need to open the ark, John. Need to open the ark.
The Torah, we do it next week. First,
Next
first
one.
one.
Next.
267.
368.
361.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו ליחד לשמו וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו.
Let us adore the living God. Offer praises to you. Spread the heavens and establish the earth. Your glory is revealed in the heavens above, and your greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else.
We bow our hands in reverence before the eternal one, source of all life.
In a time not distant, O God, when you shall be worshipped without error, and unbelief shall disappear, and error be no more. For we pray that the day may come, when all things shall be guided by our teachings. Corruption and evil shall give way to purity and goodness. Superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry multiply. That all who dwell on earth shall know that to you alone, as you use your end, and every voice you praise. May all created in your image recognize that we are brothers and sisters, so that one in spirit and one in harmony, we may be forever united before you. Then shall your reign be established on earth, and the word of your ancient prophet be fulfilled, the eternal God reigning forever and ever.
On that day, the eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one. Nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears do not vision and grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's plan. But we know that both growth and decay, life and death, all reveal God's purpose. God is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set the eternal one before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living, under God's protection we abide, and by God's law we are comforted. The life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and through our spirits, the abiding trust in you. Thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those who our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, and those of every race, nation, and faith, whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As far as Shiva's go, we definitely remember everyone who's died in the world on account of COVID. From the world, we also remember Reverend Bob Manili, who was a great leader in this town and a great friend of everyone, including the Jews. Passed away this week. Also passed away this week, the Grand Dame of Jewish Studies in Brazil, Professor Anita Novinsky. She died the day I left. I remember her fondly. Anybody else has a Shiva, 7-day mourning period? As far as yortzites go, Nabuzor remembers Manny Baguno, brother of Romeo Baguno. If anybody else has Shloshim, a 30-day mourning period. No. As far as yortzites go, Nabuzor remembers the following: Mark Bergeson, who's a cousin to Dr. Andrew Bergeson. Irving A. Stern was Nancy's father, right? And that's it. It's today. Anybody else has a yortzeit?
Mrs. Vernelli. I am Vernelli.
The departed who we now remember have entered to the peace of life eternal. They still live on earth in the acts of goodness they perform, the hearts of those who cherish their memory. In the beauty of their lives, abide among us the love and benediction. Now we come to page 375. We join the ancient words of the Kaddish. Itkadal ve'itkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chilutei ve'almin malchutei, bechaye echon u'b'yom echon, u'bechaye b'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kari be'inu amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah be'vorash amen. Itbarach ve'ishtabach ve'itba'ar ve'itroman ve'itnaseh, Veitadar, Veitaleh, Veitalash, Veitashusha, Bricho, Ve'ela, Minko, Birchata, Veshirata, Tushbechata, Venechmata, Damiram, Velma, Veinu, Amen. Hey, Shalom, Shanaya, Chaim, Melenim, Israel, Amen. Ose Shalom, Mikroma, Uya Se Shalom, Aleinu, Kol Israel, Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all mourn, comfort to all who have been among us. Let us say, Amen. Say that. I know we have a donation in memory of being stunned by Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. And that's all I think of. Yeah. I want to profusely thank Theo for showing up. Yes. And I want to thank everybody who led service in my absence. Most appreciated. Don't let the light go out. And what else we have? What else we have going on in the job?
Well, we have, we're doing a great American wipeout. We need toilet paper for our pantries. And that's what we're stressing this month. And they just happen to be on sale at Price Chopper, Fiora, triple layer. So it's very good product. And also we need granola bars for the kids' backpacks.
Good. I'm all for that.
I want to thank you, Rabbi, for a lovely service, please, thank you for returning. We were getting desperate. Thea, beautiful music. Joyce, for being our congregation. And I wanted to mention that we're going tomorrow night to see Annie at the White Theater last night, and there are tickets still available. They are producing that at the White Theater at the J, and anybody else who'd like to go, you can get tickets. We're going to. There's other things happening that in the community, but we're going to have to gear up towards high holidays, and which means whipping our congregation to action. It's been a little bit lethargic recently, but hopefully we'll be able to.
The Auschwitz thing.
Yeah, well, of course, the Auschwitz exhibit on
It
September
wouldn't
10th.
be a service at Temple Israel if there wasn't a mention of the Holocaust.
Right. And again, if more people contact me, we can probably add to the number that we are reserved for September 10th. But you'd have to let me know.
And then, as soon as services are over, we engage in the ancient hallowed tradition of Temple Israel, of the debate and fist fighting over what we're going for dinner. Before that, to prepare us for that, Theo have the concluding name.
Yeah, let's say shalom. So
We talk about peace.
yes, exactly.
service. He has God's blessings upon us. May God bless us and keep us. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chuneka. May God look kindly on us and ever be gracious to us. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God show us tenderness and give us shalom peace. Shabbat shalom. We're going for dinner. Who's going for dinner?
Yeah, sure. Theo, there, what's wrong with the speaker there? I think it, is it the connection?
There's like some kind of feedback or something.
Let's see, which one is it?
It's this here.
The speaker.
Yeah, that speaker was, there's something wrong with it, but, maybe that's it. We're also,
See if it makes, try this one back on again. No problem, it's good.
there goes the low noise.
So,
Okay,
let's go on, okay, so let's try.
That's it, people. Shabbat shalom.
Testing. So. Did you hear anything there?
Yeah.
So I guess it's maybe slightly.